I mean, it's not the main thing, but come on. If the guy forfeited $58 million and he forfeited, even more money because he was only 29, he was going to be turning 30 pretty soon here, I think in the next week or two, that why would he just go up and quit? And I think, also he's thought about this longer than I think people gave him credit. And now there's a report out there that the Indianapolis Colts knew, weeks ago, maybe even, a month ago, that Andrew Luck was either going to retire or thinking about retiring. And we've seen plenty of times where guys retire and they have, second thoughts or regrets, or, they go back and they think about it and they change their mind. And I think, if he was talking with the Colts, I'm sure he probably brought up like, hey, this is where I'm at right now. I think I'm done. And of course, the team is not going to just let him just say, all right, I'm done, and they're going to walk away. They're going to want him to think about it. I mean, a prime example, Josh McCown. He just retired from last team he was on with the New York Jets, said, I'm done. All right, no more. And then an injury happened, and all of a sudden now he's on the Philadelphia Eagles team as the backup quarterback. So I don't think, and I'm pretty sure, I'm willing to, put money on this, is that Andrew Luck just woke up that day, or he woke up the day before and said, I'm done. You know what? I'm done. No, he didn't say anything like that. And then here's the other thing that I think a lot of people are getting misconstrued about Andrew Luck and this whole thing. At the end of the day, no matter what, this is this man's job. And at any point, it is his right to quit working if he doesn't want to work anymore. He has other things that's going on. The man is, have an architectural engineering degree. So obviously, I'm sure he's probably going to put that to use at some point. You're going to have all the TV outlets or, some type of media form trying to reach out to him to get him to be on their team or be, a face of something. He may still have, endorsements deal. Don't forget, Tony Romo, Howie Long, other football players, they have endorsements deals. So he's going to have some other stuff, going on. But at the end of the day, it's his decision. And I think a lot of people really forget how hard it is to be an NFL football player, let alone a professional athlete. But if you don't remember, if you can find it on YouTube, there's a video of Jerome Bettis, and he was talking about, the grind and the daily rigors of being a football player and the things that you have to deal with. And I think he did this piece with ESPN, if I remember correctly. But they were showing him waking up, he could barely get out of the bed. But then somehow, some way, he would get on the field and everybody would think he's all right. Was he taking any painkillers? Was he taking a shot? I don't know. But for whatever he was doing, he was still getting out on that field. And I think Andrew Luck really thought about it and just said, look, is it really worth what I'm going to lose? And he made the decision that he said, no, it's not worth it. I'm going to go ahead and bow out. Now, I will say this, and I'll end it on this. He's 30, or he'll be 30 pretty soon here. Quarterbacks are playing to their 39, so I would not rule out even a comeback for Andrew Luck. He may take a couple years off, get his body right, and he may start feeling right and say, you know what, I want to go at it again. And I guarantee you half the league, half of the NFL will call. I don't know how many teams will actually bring him in. I think he'll be a few, but he'll only be 32 at that point. Quarterbacks are playing to 37, 38, 39 these days. 40, 41 if you're T. Brady, 42 actually. So it's not over. I just think maybe at this point he needs a break. He could come back, but it's his decision. I respect the decision. I'm not going to, say anything that would be disrespectful to that man on his decision. It's his life. He can do whatever he wants with it. In the Wait a Minute Show chat room, Mo Cheese is saying Luck's family had money before he ever touched a football field, so it's not about the money. And he's exactly right. His father played football. Now, his father didn't play in a time where he could just make all the money in the world, but Andrew Luck's father, and he's the commissioner of the XFL that's coming up here next year. But he has come from a family that did not, they were not living check to check. Let's just say that. So yeah, it's never really been about the money. And I give Andrew Luck credit for not cheating the game. How many times have we talked about, or not me, but a lot of people, how many times have people talked about that guys are stealing money? He should put on a ski mask, and all this stuff. He didn't cheat the game because the game hadn't cheated him at this point. It's unfair. It is, life, and he's willing to move on from it. So I think everyone else should be able to, respect that. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm going to say about, Andrew Luck at this point. But at the end, don't forget the Big L Award, which stands for the Big Loser Award. I will be giving that out, and I've already told you who's going to be getting it. It's going to be Indianapolis Colts fans because they need to be dealt with. They need to be told something. They need to be handled, and it will happen here at the end of the show with me and Lopan. That is right, Lopan. So Andrew Luck not playing anymore. Other thing that was going on is Hard Knocks. Hard Knocks came on yesterday, and I'm going to be honest. It hasn't been as interesting as previous Hard Knocks. I was expecting a lot more storylines, from Vontaze Burfict, Richie Incognito. You could have did Whitehead, maybe a little bit more about Derek Carr. Obviously, they've been covering the Antonio Brown situation ad nauseum, so that's never short of being anything. I thought, maybe get into maybe Mike Mayock a little bit more, being a rookie GM. But it really hasn't been that. We've talked about Darren Waller. We've talked about Luke Wilson. They've talked about, and I said we like I'm on the production, but they've talked about Hunter Renfrow a little bit, which I expected that. And Keelan Dawson, it's not, maybe I put my expectations too high because it was the Raiders and they had all this stuff, but it just really hasn't been what I thought it would be. I'm not saying it should have been like a train wreck or anything like that, but I just thought there might have been more, issues. There might have been more, situations that we get answers to, and it really hasn't been that. And I'm a little disappointed. And we're going into the final week. So, they'll be wrapping it up, which I guess I really don't have a problem with that because, regular season is starting and we can start watching some real games. But I haven't had any answers to Derek Carr. I don't know if he's going to be around when they move to Vegas. This could be, a audition for Derek Carr this season. But I haven't gotten any feel for if they are really wanting to roll with him for the next few years, or we may see him somewhere else next year. I do feel that they are looking at a rebuild, but they may not say it, but they're looking at a rebuild, and maybe, with some of the quarterbacks that's going to be coming out, maybe that's something that they're looking at. The other thing is, I really thought they were going to get kind of into, they followed Abrams and some of the other first-round draft picks. I mean, they really haven't even talked about Josh Jacobs. I mean, he has a story that should be told. So I'm just perplexed. That's all I'm going to say. But it's wrapping up. Don't have to worry about it anymore. And the regular season, will be here. Now, speaking about the regular season, they were just talking about with the I guess the collective bargaining agreement, because that is coming up for the NFL. And I didn't say this. You listen to the Wait a Minute Show with your man Jelani JB Bodie, and it's going down on a Wednesday night, hump night. Give you a sports fix, but they were talking about maybe looking at expanding the playoffs versus playing longer games. And when I mean longer games, more games in the season, because currently there's 16 NFL regular season games. There were talk about maybe going to 18. Players obviously want to get paid more money, but then players don't want to play, 18 regular season games, because they're saying that the 16, is enough, and it puts, a lot on the players. So they're looking at maybe expanding the playoffs. And I never thought about this until I saw this, report on the Score today. But that makes sense. How many times have we talked about, or it's been pointed out there, because look, you only can have a handful. And now what I'm saying is maybe add, one more team, from or one more game, I should say. Another wild card game that you could put into the mix for the playoffs. How many times have we said, or seen a team they went 10-6, and they didn't make the playoffs? You won double-digit numbers that year, and normally, if you win double digits, that means you're going to be in the playoffs. But you went 10-6, and you don't make the playoffs. Or maybe, another ideal is you only get 2 teams that have first round byes. Maybe we can go up to 4 teams. I don't know how that might work out, because you'll have a team that in their division, both of them dominated, and then only one, gets the first round bye. That may not be something that they be willing to do, but it's just an idea out there. But I do like the idea of expanding the playoff games, because those games matter. And here's why I'm on board with that. And I'm totally done with 18 games. I don't think they should have did 18 games anyway. Keep it at 16. It's that because on the flip side of that, all the teams that struggled, all the teams that sucked, all the teams that were just horrible, we don't want to see another 2 weeks of that. We don't want to see a team go 2-16. 2-14 is enough for me. 3-13 is enough for me. I don't need to see them 4-14 to be like, okay, now those 2 extra games has proved the point. Yes, the 2 games, if you got them, maybe you get someone in the playoffs, but that's why I'm like, you expand the playoffs. So then you get more, and this league is built on parity. This league is built on anything is possible. We've seen that. We've seen too many times a team that was horrible one year, and then they go all the way to the Super Bowl the next year. Or they were horrible the previous year, and they make a run, to get into the playoffs and possibly to the Super Bowl. We've seen that time and time again. So I think that would be great for the NFL to expand the playoffs, because at that point, regular season's still over. You played your 16 games, but now these games, instead of 2 games that may not matter to a team, and you got a game that matters in the playoffs. You still get rewarded for putting in all that work, all that pain, all that tears and blood and sweat and whatever else that you put into the game. And then you get rewarded by making the playoffs. We get more playoffs. We get the extra game, that we want. But it is for something. It actually means something versus a possible empty game. Again, I don't want to see anybody going 2-16. I don't want to see anybody going 3-15. That's just horrible. If you bad, no one's going to tune in at the end of the year to finish watching you be bad. Indeed. Exactly, Lopan. So I like the idea. I'm in love with the idea. I hope they bring that to the table. I hope that's something that they can, adopt and make fairly soon, a reality. There have to be some tweaks